What is up, everybody? We are in Cali, Colombia. My first time here. Heard a lot of things about it. A lot of good things, a lot of bad things. Because I'm working on my course, I wanted to check out Cali to see if it was real, everything that they were saying. Feels like the city is very different than all the other cities that we've been to. It's very hard to compare it to another city because yesterday we were in like San Antonio. We ate at a restaurant there. It was beautiful. It kind of reminded me of Lima, Peru in a lot of ways, just like the overall vibe. We definitely need to check a little bit more of this place out to see what it's all about. Come on. So we're walking around the Centro Comercial. It's called Chippy Choppy. Apparently it's one of the most famous ones here. It's very nice. It's so hard trying to figure out what Cali is like because sometimes we'll be walking around a barrio and I'm just like, okay, it feels kind of like a low-key barrio in Medellin, and then we'll be driving and because it's all flat, it reminds me of some parts of Bogota. It's really hot, muggy, that's the best way to describe it. A little humid, sometimes there's like wind. I'm not a huge fan of the weather here. Maybe you'll get used to it after a couple months, but coming from Manizales, which is nice and cold, it feels very like stuffy. The people here, I will not say are like the most friendly, but it's not like they're rude or mean or anything. It's just everybody's kind of minding their own business. Also, a lot of what you hear about Cali is that the population is darker here, but honestly just walking around it feels like a pretty good mix. But I feel like the people here are, I guess, on the Moreno side. So something surprising too is that there's quite a bit of gringos here. There are a few backpackers that we've seen just walking around, but I've also noticed quite a bit of gringo couples. So the guy will be speaking English and they'll be with a Colombian. Not as much as you would see in a place like Medellin, but here definitely exists. Yeah, a lot more than I thought. If you guys are looking for a consultation, feel free to hit me up here. Also, my course is going to be available by the end of April, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to offer the course completely with a consultation included, or you can buy the dating and the business ones separately, and those will be at a lesser price just for those sections. This area that we're in right now, I need to ask where we are. It seems like to be like a nice, richer area here. Yeah, this place feels exactly like La Laureles, bro. Flat. There's a lot of really nice restaurants here. Seems to be popping. Gracias. So something that I noticed right away, my buddy was telling me that drugs are pretty heavy here. Everywhere you go, you're gonna smell marijuana. There are people smoking everywhere here. So we've been actually liking Cali so far. It depends on who you hang out with. I hung out with my friends Eat Baila Travel, who are a bit younger. They speak Spanish and they have all these Colombian friends and foreigner friends. And they all met through dancing, so they're really mixing that culture. They were telling me that Cali, I mean, it has a lot of its like dangerous stuff and all its fame for being the most dangerous city, but a lot of the things that happen is more like targeted stuff. There are some people on the streets that are looking to rob you, so you still gotta be careful, just like Medellin, just like any big city. But for the most part, like getting stabbed and stuff like that, all that stuff really happens like as a targeted event. So you piss somebody off, you owe somebody money, you looked at somebody's girl the wrong way, that kind of thing. And they were telling me that there's still a little bit of street justice here. You're in a barrio and somebody steals and the whole barrio knows, they'll like beat you up to the point where they'll almost kill you. To me, it perfectly describes what Cali is, the Wild West for good or for worse. When people are on the street, people are driving, all the traffic lights are like suggestions, especially late at night, right? Let's say you're at a traffic light and you stop there, that's an easy way for you to get robbed. So a lot of people are just like aggressively driving throughout the street. It does feel a bit chaotic. I'm really digging the energy of Cali, man. I wouldn't say it's like the best either, but it's just good vibes if you just walk around and you see people dancing on the street and you go to the clubs, people dancing. Cali has a really long history of narcotraficantes. You can still kind of see a lot of that still here in the culture. I would like to spend a lot more time here. But this weather is rough, bro. Not gonna lie. Okay, so we're walking around Galleria Alameda, which is kind of like the Galleria that we have in Manizales. It's like a big open market area, kind of downtown. It seems to be really seafood based. There's a lot of like coconuts, and the seafood is actually pretty good. Good. That cazuela was a 9 out of 10. These fried fish were 8 out of 10, pretty good. Ceviche was like a 7 out of 10. This fried fish was like a 9 out of 10. ¿Cuánto lo das? 9/10. And this arroz con coco is fire too. It's like a 9 out of 10. We're here like during Semana Santa. I thought it would be bad because we're gonna miss out on a lot of the people, but it's actually nice because we can see all the tourist spots and it's not super packed. Walking around here, you realize why Latin America is so great. It's just so diverse with the amount of fruits and the amount of food and produce and everything that you can find. Because of the weather, everything's easy to grow and everything's abundant. Pretty much the Galleria that we have in Manizales, it's the same thing. So we just kind of walked in and out. But now we're trying to get some cholao, famous dessert here in Cali. We asked the police officers and he said it was safe. I'm walking around, I don't feel like super unsafe right now with my camera out. Cali has a really interesting vibe, man. I don't know how to describe it. It's dirty, it's grimy, but there's a lot of heart and there's a lot of culture here. You'll hear salsa music everywhere, which is cool compared to like places like Medellin where it's pretty much reggaeton. And you'll just see random people dancing on the street all the time. Well, let's talk about pricing. In Cali, it feels like the rent here is actually very cheap. Cheaper than Manizales, I would say. But the food here is very expensive. Even though if you go to the supermarket, it's not super expensive. But if you eat out, the level of like fine dining and high-end restaurants here is really high. So most of the places that we've gone to, be paying a minimum of like 25 mil. I mean, you can probably get almuerzos for like 15, but most of the restaurants are like 25, 30 and above. I feel like the taxis are a little more expensive too, but it doesn't seem like a crazy big city, at least when you compare it to something like Bogota, you know? It's actually illegal for them to be 2 men on a motorcycle, especially when you're walking around at night. Be careful for the motorcycles that have their license plate showing like this. They're like up. So that's one tell sign that people are looking to rob. Unfortunately, you'll see these motos and a lot of them will be like a guy with the girl in the back. It's less concerning during the day, especially if there's people around. And my wife and I were trying to figure out things to do. Because it's Sunday, most things are closed. There seems to be nothing really much to do here during the day. But then at night, when things cool down and everybody's on the streets and people are dancing, that's when Cali is at its best. So something I like about Cali, that it knows exactly what it is. It's dirty, really hot, there's a lot of crime here, it's dangerous, but there's one thing that unites everybody, and that's the salsa culture. And I think that is so beautiful because no matter what, people are always gonna come to Cali to dance. That's what makes the vibes of the city so interesting. At least if you compare it to a place like Medellin, which is extremely beautiful. Cali is loud, it's not super pretty, the architecture is not super nice, even though the restaurant scene here is really good. The women here rival the Paisa women, if I'm being honest, but it hasn't been ruined by foreigners that much. And you get women of all colors here. You find the most beautiful dark-skinned women here, but you also see people that are like light-skinned that could pretty much be Paisa. You get every flavor, everything in the world here. There's a lot of like intermixing of race as well, which I think is beautiful, and I think the closer that you get to the coast, the more you see that. So we're walking around the Centro Comercial. It's called Unicentro. As you get more towards the south, it gets a lot more finer. And the malls here in Cali are really nice, man. There's a lot of like outdoor malls like this, where like half of it's indoor, half of it's outdoor. These ones are super nice. Cali is very surprising also because there's a lot of like rich areas. If you go to Parque del Perro, it looks exactly like Laureles. We're here in Granada. There's a bunch of really high-end restaurants and bars as well. And you can go to the boulevard where people are on the street just dancing in the middle of the night. I think it's called La Sexta, with a bunch of like bars and clubs. If you go towards the south, there are a bunch of like mansions there, and it's extremely safe because they say there's a lot of like narco money there. People don't really go there to rob or anything because you don't know who potentially you're going to be robbing. We were going to like some of the food courts out there and seeing where all the houses are like. It feels exactly like the high-end areas of Panama City. Extremely safe, and nobody knows that that exists in Cali. When I was hanging out with my friends that first night here in Cali, felt like the first few times that I was in Medellin. How we were able to just go meet people and drink, have a good time and dance and just kind of enjoy life. There are a lot of foreigners definitely coming to visit, you know, walking around. We see a bunch of gringos everywhere, but it's not for the same reason as Medellin, because the main reason people come here is for salsa. Just the overall vibe and energy of the city, I can see why people would like it. I like Cali a lot.